Hi, you're listening to Phil DeBella, and this is FlashCast by PDB. Again, I welcome my beautiful and wonderful wife, Princess Gigi, to the microphone. What we want to do today is, there's a lot of people out there, most of this country is made up on small, medium businesses, SMEs, as they call them. The whole country runs on SMEs, something that's probably not valued enough in this country. But, well, hey, that's another topic of discussion. But something that has gathered my interest and my wife's interest of late is the fact that most SMEs are actually husband and wife teams. And whilst DeBella Coffee became the country's biggest specialty coffee company, it started as a startup in 2002. It started as myself as a one-man band, and obviously my wife was in the shadows with me, built the business, but wasn't working at the time with me. But of course, we planned it together. We formulated the principles and shared the same values. And then Gianna joined me many years later in the business. But of course, and we went and grew on to be a very, very big business, a medium-sized business based on revenue and employees and all the rest of it. However, it's captured our attention that most businesses are small, medium, and most businesses in that small, medium category are actually partnerships of husbands and wives. And a few of the questions we get is, how did we work together and how was that relationship? So we're going to cover off in the next, 7 or 8 minutes, topics around how we worked together, what was easy, what was difficult, how did it feel? So without further ado, Gianna, I welcome you to the microphone.
Hi, everyone. Glad to be speaking about this topic. Very interesting and a complex one to tackle in the period of time. So we'll see how we go.
And, of course, as I say, go easy on me, right? Because you can beat me up sometimes. But, G, let's fire off. Well, the early days, what was it like? I mean, I don't want this to be questions. I want it to be more of a conversation. So we'll pick on it. But let's fire off at the question. The early days, what was going through your head?
So, DeBella, I knew we had a really strong vision of what we wanted to achieve there, and we had between us some really good skills that we knew we could bring to the market. And I think because we always focused on the customer, we didn't focus on each other's egos or appeasing each other or anyone. We just focused on what we wanted to achieve for the customer. I think that made all the difference. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I always say that we built a people business. And I remember our early conversations over many glasses of wines and sitting on the balcony were all about, we want to build a company that people would want to recommend to others. We didn't fuel it by egos and emotions. We fueled it by customer. I mean, we built a customer-centric business. It's something that today I still find missing when I talk to people, and you do a lot of coaching with people, and they talk about what they want. It's and I love your saying, you talk about an I economy versus a we economy. And I reflect back, to 17 years ago, we were very much a we economy. And if you fast forward 17 years later, unfortunately today, a lot of it is still I. I want to go into business because I want this. I want to go into business because I want to achieve this. We went into business because we said we wanted to help cafe owners make money. And if you reflect back, that was pretty profound 17 years ago to be a we economy.
I agree. And having coached other businesses, the one thing I find is that people are always talking about what they want. They're talking about what systems and processes they want to implement that will help them make it easier for them. Well, business isn't easy. It was never meant to be easy. And it shouldn't. It should be about your customer, what's going to give them the greatest value. And I think if the focus is always there about the value for the customer, then everything else just flows from there, and the money becomes a byproduct of what you're trying to achieve for that customer. They want to give you the money.
Well, of course, and something that I talk about is what problem are you going to solve in business? And I think that a lot of people don't clearly articulate or identify what problem they're going to solve. And DeBella, in the beginning, people were getting delivered a bag of beans to their doors. Words we later went on to coin and own. It's not just a bag of beans. And we have them trademarked under the DeBella brand. But it really was about solving people's problems and what value could we add. And again, we keep coming back to that we economy versus the I economy. And yeah, there's no secrets. We made a lot of money and we did really well. But I can assure you, listeners, and Gianna's here to tell you, it was never about a number. We never put a number on the value of our business. We never thought the business would ever be worth what it became to be worth. It was simply a byproduct. And it's probably a good lesson upon reflection of when we talk about business. So that was the startup period where the startup was all about solving problems, purpose. But, and then let's fast track. So we got into the business. We were doing quite well. Gianna joined the business. Let's talk about those days. I mean, challenges for you, G.
So I entered the business when Debella had already been running 4 years. So for me, it was very much about having to try and build that credibility with the team that already existed. And that was really tough. So I had to foresee a role where I could add value to the team. And I think that's where we worked really well together, because you had your defined roles and it was very outward focused in terms of the customer and sales, where I was very inward focused in terms of the system and the people within the business. So I think that worked really well, having those clearly defined roles.
Yeah, so on that, of course, and you remember, in the spirit of the topic, it's about how do you work together, is you've got to have very, very clearly defined roles. I'm very outward facing. I move at a very fast pace. I gather information quickly, I process quickly, and then I go straight to strategy. Gianna's a lot more reflective. Gianna sits back and makes sure that she measures 2-3 times and then cuts once. But what we did is we never hung, shit on each other. We actually worked to each other's strengths. And it's something that is very important, is that you need to, as a couple, work to each other's strengths. Because, of course, you're going to frustrate each other. I'm sure my wife will tell you I frustrated her many, many times, as she did me. But you know what? Every time she frustrated me, I went to what her strengths were. So let that be a defining message, that you've got to work to each other's strengths. And in those difficult times, that you are actually finding each other, upsetting each other or making each other mad, that you really come back to that point of where you value each other. What is it that you value together, and that you actually appreciate the strength of the other person, because it really does make a difference.
I would actually add to that as well, because when I've coached other people, they seem to think that they should be the same, that the person frustrates them because they don't think the same way or do the same things. But actually, difference is better than difference. You need difference. You want difference, because that then covers off on the holistic and the very many varied skills you need in a business to make that business grow.
And of course, on that too, because you are, I always talk about your life as personal, professional and family, you need to differentiate the three. And I think when we did it tough there for a while with our marriage on a personal level, obviously in a family level, we did it quite tough where we would argue, but we had to find and we had to define the barriers to each part. What was our professional relationship? What was our personal relationship? And what was our family relationship? And the moment we did that, and we did it purely by communication, was we were able to go, grow stronger together.
Definitely. It was about communication and really understanding. And I think the biggest problem people have in husband and wife businesses, but not even just that, in partnerships, is that we're always seeking to try and see the situation through our eyes. We need to try and see the situation through the other person's eyes and come to that zone of agreement as a result, because that is where the opportunity truly lies. Because if you wanted to be great, we wouldn't be great just being our own opinions are never that great. It's always a combined, and growth comes from sharing and developing.
Yeah, and the one thing I would add is don't be afraid to take time out. Gianna and I have taken time out a few times. Sometimes you just need to take that time out, regroup yourself, regroup your thoughts, redefine your values, come back to your values. And often, I always say, sometimes you need to go left to go right. And sometimes you need to go right to go left. So I think in the spirit of that, when you're in business with your, with your wife, with your husband, with your spouse, your partner, whatever they refer to them these days, make sure that you keep that communication up. Communication is the common denominator of failure. Well, Gianna, in the spirit of keeping under 10 minutes, it's always been a pleasure to have you on the show. It's never enough time because you've got so much value to add. Closing words?
3 tips I would give would be work to each other's strength, really seek to understand each other, and have a really strong vision.
Great work. Guys, you've been listening to Phil DeBello. This is FlashCast by PDB. Gigi, great to have you on board. Until next time, be the best you can be.